Welcome to That's Based. Happy Wednesday morning. It's the midweek check-in. I'm your host, as always, Caleb Salvatore, reporting from somewhere underground. We're laughing our way through the end of days. Brought to you by Outlaw Streamers and our friends over at Blood of Tyrants Wines. Drink bloodoftyrants.com with the promo code BASED, B-A-S-E-D, like the title of the show, is going to save you 10% off your order at the checkout. 2 types of wine, both red and white, along with the Liquid Freedom energy drink. One more time, that's drinkbloodoftyrants.com with the promo code BASED, B-A-S-E-D, like the title of the show. It's going to save you 10% off your order at the checkout. Go do it now. Support the brands that support this show. Happy Wednesday. We didn't have a unsolicited advice show on Monday. We did give you a bonus show on Sunday because, as our shows normally do when Monty Scott is involved, we went over on Saturday because we're trying to keep these under 2 hours now. Trying to keep them under 2 hours. Can't guarantee they'll stay under 2 hours, but we're trying to keep them under 2 hours for the most part. So we gave you a little bit of a bonus show on Sunday, and then I decided, you know what? We got home. Long story short, a bunch of stuff. When we got home, we're rather exhausted from the weekend on Easter Sunday. So we decided, you know what? Let's give ourselves and everybody else involved in the production of this show a little bit of a break. No show Monday. We'll be back Wednesday. So we're back. Welcome. Excuse me. I also, if you'll notice, if you follow my personal YouTube channel where we post clips and shorts daily, you'll notice there's 2 days of the year I don't post anything. It's Christmas and Easter. And that's because you shouldn't be focusing on me on those days. I want your undivided attention the other 363 days of the year, or 364 if it's a leap year. But those are the 2 days I want you to leave me alone. Well, we got a couple of things we're going to talk about this week. Not too much, but we're going to go over a couple of things. First off, I was looking, we're going to go see, and this will play later, we're going to go see a movie this weekend. I know, because we're like the last people on earth that go see movies in the theater still. But I saw The Accountant 2 with Ben Affleck is coming out. Listen, I don't like Ben Affleck, but the first Accountant, even though it was like 10 years ago when I saw it, was actually great. I actually enjoyed that movie. I think an autistic guy that never speaks is the role Ben Affleck was born to play. I love that role for him. Fantastic for Mr. Affleck there. But we're going to talk about the Pope. We're going to talk about some of the deportation news, and then we're going to talk about this new movie that has got everybody freaking out all over the interwebs with Michael B. Jordan in it. But first, let's hop in, obviously, to the Pope. So Pope Francis passed away early Monday morning, late Sunday night. I don't know what time it was in the Vatican. I know they said he passed away on Easter. And Pope Francis was a controversial pope. He was. I'm not going to pass too much judgment on the guy. I'll be honest with you, I wasn't his biggest fan. I think it's weird to talk shit about dead people, especially the dead pope. Just feels kind of off, right? I wasn't his biggest fan. With that said, though, I see a lot of people that like, for instance, the Pope said that neoliberalism and Christianity were incompatible. Neoliberalism is like the modern Reaganomics American view of government, right? Limited government involvement in the markets and, kind of some variation of what we have today. He said that and Christianity were incompatible, which is, of course, just a ridiculous thing to say for a whole bunch of reasons. But I think the issue here is that we've seen a lot of people use the Pope to attack Catholicism as a whole, to attack Catholics. And I don't think that's fair because the majority of the Catholics I know don't agree with what the guy's saying. That would be like using Joe Biden and his disastrous tenure as president for the last 4 years as a reason to attack all Americans. Well, you're an American. You guys elected him. You must be fine with it. Well, no. Not what you'll find is not everybody. In fact, a lot of the time, the majority of people that are represented by a leader don't like him or at least don't agree with everything he says. So I don't think it's fair to use the Pope to label all Catholics. And I also don't think it's a fair assessment to say that Catholics aren't critical of the Pope, because I know a lot of them who are. They're not loud and proud about it, but I know a lot of them who are. So he wasn't my favorite, but here's the thing. We got a new guy coming along. There's going to be a new Pope soon. And the name I'm seeing thrown out and about is this guy named Cardinal Robert Sarah. He's 79 years old, from Guinea. He's African. He would be the first ever black pope. And this is the kind of crap I'm talking about, that I was talking about on Saturday with me. I'm seeing some worrying trends from some folks on our side of the aisle. I've seen a lot of people calling him DEI Pope because he's a black guy, without even looking into him. Guys, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but DEI is not just any time a black person gets a job. Like, sometimes, dare I say it, if a minority or a woman or whoever gets a position, sometimes they might just be qualified for that position. Now, in a case like Ketanji Brown Jackson, that's a little bit different. When Biden flat out said, I'm going to appoint a black woman to the Supreme Court, well, at first he kind of narrowed it down, but he made it clear that that was about diversity, equity, and inclusion. Robert Sarah is probably the most qualified pope. And a lot of people are quick to dismiss him, and this is the problem with this partisan, racial, tribalistic bullshit that we see. A lot of people on the right are quick to dismiss this guy because of the way he looks and haven't even looked into some of the stuff he's said. Guys, this guy would be the most based pope in our lifetime. Bar none. The most based pope in our lifetime. And that's normal. African Christians are some of the most devout, hardline Christians you'll see. I'm going to read you some of his quotes. So a lot of the concerns with the current pope that I've seen from people on the right, or I guess now former pope, that I've seen from folks on our side, is that the way he went after Donald Trump and J.D. Vance and others about immigration. Well, here's what Cardinal Robert Sarah said about immigration. He said, those who use the Bible to justify mass immigration are bewitched. Does that sound like a guy who's a woke DEI hire to you? Sounds pretty based, if you ask me. I got a couple of other quotes from him here on some different issues. So I've been doing some reading on this guy, because whether you like it or not, the Vatican plays a large role in global politics and global social interaction. They do. The Vatican has wields a massive amount of influence culturally around the world. If they so choose to use it, they can put pressure on countries or lay off of countries. Recently, specifically under this administration, the Vatican has put some pressure on them. In fact, the Pope Francis would get out of the hospital and just start talking shit on J.D. Vance. That was like one of the first things he did. So we can have... so let me read some more quotes from this guy here. Excuse me. So in 2016, at an address at the National Catholic Prayer Breakfast in Washington, D.C., Cardinal Sarah expressed concern that God is being eroded, eclipsed, and liquidated in the United States. He highlighted issues such as the legalization of same-sex marriage, mandates on contraception and healthcare, and policies allowing individuals to use restrooms aligning with their gender identity as signs of a demonic threat to American society. In June of 2024, during a lecture at the Catholic University of America, Cardinal Sarah referred to Joe Biden as a self-identified Catholic president, exemplifying a cafeteria Catholic, someone who selectively adheres to church teachings as they see fit and as it supports their viewpoints. He criticized Biden for adopting what he termed the practical atheism of secular culture, suggesting that many Catholic institutions in the U.S. have become Catholic or Christian in name only. Despite his critiques, Cardinal Sarah has also acknowledged the potential for the United States to be a place of spiritual renewal. He noted the presence of vibrant Catholic communities, young priests, and strong Episcopal leadership as signs of hope He urged American Catholics to reject practical atheism and to foster the growth of their faith communities for the sake of the global church. In 2016, in his book, God or Nothing, Cardinal Sarah referred to transgender ideology as a crude lie and nightmarish totalitarianism. He asserted that a man will never become a woman, and she will never become a man. A woman will never become a man, no matter what mutilations one or the other agrees to undergo. During a keynote breakfast at the 2016 keynote address at the 2016 National Catholic Prayer Breakfast in D.C., he labeled gender ideology as a demonic threat to the family and religious freedom, criticized policies such as transgender bathroom access. We already read that part. He has condemned what he terms ideological colonization, accusing Western nations of imposing gender ideology on developing countries through economic aid and political pressure. He believes this undermines traditional family structures and religious beliefs, which is what I was yelling at you guys when we were going over the Doge USAID thing. When we were talking about, hey, look, they're going after these devoutly Christian and Muslim countries in Africa and the Middle East and trying to undermine them that way. They're not going to just give these people guns, but they start pushing these radical transgender ideologies and they'll hold it over their head in the form of aid, and that's how the money gets laundered. And that's exactly what you're seeing. And this guy called that out. So just because he's a black guy doesn't mean he's just woke DEI hire, guys. You got to get that through your fucking head. This guy, listen, with the way the world, you know, whether it be in America and Canada and Europe, the way the world, South America, the way the world is drifting toward conservatism right now, a based pope like this guy would be the cherry on top. This guy would be like chef's kiss on top of everything. He certainly doesn't mince words with what he's saying here. I would be thrilled, and this guy appears to be the leader. But don't tell the liberals what I just told you. Can you guys do me a favor there? Don't tell the liberals what I just told you. Let's wait till let's get them all on board. Oh yeah, black pope. And they won't even look into him because that's how blinded by racial bullshit they are. We'll get this guy through, and then he'll come in and just be based as all hell. And he'll be the weapon that we wield against progressivism in the church. Don't tell the liberals everything I just told you. We need to keep this a secret. But yeah, so chill out for a little bit. Robert Sarah, Cardinal Robert Sarah, look into him. This would be a breath of fresh air. Me as a cradle Catholic, we were talking at dinner the other night about it. And I told her, I was like, you know, this guy might be, like, if this is really who we're going to get, this would be like the most conservative pope in our lifetime. And she said, with all the shit we've been through, I think that's what we need. I think that's what we need. Someone who doesn't embrace communism, someone who doesn't encourage open borders, someone who doesn't do lunches with drag queens. I'm not going to bash the Pope any more than I already have. But this is a welcome change among a lot of people. I mean, how would you like to be J.D. Vance right now? You drop the college football trophy, and then 2 days later, you visit the Pope, and the next day, he dies. I mean, like, Vance is leaving a warpath. I would not want to be the next person J.D. Vance is supposed to meet with. You know, there's a lot of guys sitting somewhere. There's a guy listening to this show going like, hey, how do I set up a meeting between J.D. Vance and my mother-in-law? Like, okay, let's go to the next one here. So a bunch of Democrat congressmen, after Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen, have flown down to El Salvador. So last week, Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen flew down to El Salvador, met with this Kilmar Abrego Garcia, or the Maryland man, as a bunch of us have been known to call him. And he confirmed that the guy's alive. They sipped margaritas, and he's working to get him back here. Well, probably not going to happen. The El Salvadorian government has absolutely no obligation to follow a U.S. Supreme Court ruling, as it turns out. Now, am I comfortable with the way that Trump has been maybe taking some liberties. No, not really, but it is what it is. And we can't make the El Salvadorian government send him back here if they don't want to. He's their citizen. We can't. That's completely unrealistic. So after Chris Van Hollen went down there, confirmed the guy was alive, wrote home to the family, whatever, a whole bunch of Democrat congressmen decided to fly down there to grandstand. I mean, that's literally the only reason was to grandstand. There was nothing to accomplish down there other than to get their names in the papers. That was it. And when they got down there, they were turned away. The El Salvadorian government said, no, you don't need to meet with this guy. Someone already came down here. They confirmed he's alive. You have absolutely no authority down here. By the way, you guys want to talk about privilege? How much privilege is behind thinking you can fly into another country and demand they send one of their own citizens back on a plane with you? You want to talk about privilege? You want to talk about entitlement? That's a real unhealthy sense of entitlement there. So you got one congresswoman who is now refusing to leave. And mind you, none of these people are even this guy's district. They're from like Florida and they're all over the country. So you got a congressman that's now refusing to leave until they send this guy back. This is the same thing as the celebrity saying they're going to leave America if Trump wins or whatever. She'll be back in a week. I genuinely hope she stays down there, though. Make this your big thing. Make this your big deal. And that's the thing, is this family, or whatever it is, of this guy, they've got to realize that they're being used as a means to an end here. These politicians that are down there, they don't actually care about you. Like, I see Megan Hunt go up in front of a unicameral and say somebody needs to go down there and get him. Okay, why don't you? Why? Well, you're a state senator in Nebraska. You're voting on a bill about banning fake meat, and you're using it to talk about a guy who was living in Maryland, an El Salvadorian citizen who may or may not be an MS-13 gang member being shipped to an El Salvadorian prison. Shut up! Shut up. Vote on hey, Megan Cunt. My property taxes are still nuts. Fix that. If only you gave a tenth as much of a damn about your district that's falling apart and everyone's getting priced out of their businesses down there as you do about some guy that may or may not be a human trafficker getting shipped back to his home country and stuck in prison. That's the other thing. This guy's name came up in a human smuggling case. That's where the MS-13 allegations came. Now, he may or may not be an MS-13 gang member. I don't know. Let me ask you guys a question, though. How many people do you know? How many good people do you know that's name, whether they're gang members or not, that's names would pop up in a human smuggling case? Do you know any? Is there anyone you get beers or coffee with? Or that you invite over to your house to watch a football game or have a bonfire? Or anyone whose wedding you've been at that's name would pop up in a human smuggling case? Anyone you would associate yourself with at all that's name would pop up in a human smuggling case? So maybe he is a gang member, maybe he's not. I don't know. But I think we can assume that if your name is even remotely associated with human smuggling, well, you're probably somebody we don't want in this country. Because had he applied to be a citizen legally and gone through the legal route to be a citizen, and they ran his name and his information through the database, and they're like, hey, this guy may or may not be associated with a human smuggling thing, they never would have let him into the country to begin with. So I don't know why someone who came through the border illegally gets more rights than someone who tries to do it legally. Why are they afforded more grace than somebody who tries to do it the right way? Because that's the thing. If you applied for residency or a green card or citizenship or whatever and tried to do it the right way, and they ran your name through the database. They're like, hey, you were mentioned in a case regarding human smuggling. Any comment on that? It would be an automatic rejection. They wouldn't let you in the country. Which I also find hilarious is that all these people that came over here and skipped the legal process to become legal citizens are now demanding due process under the same law. Does anyone else see the irony in that? Now, I see that Trump posted a tweet with the guy's hand tattoo. There's a marrow on his knuckles. He's got a marijuana leaf. It's like a number. No. It's a fuck, what is the... Let me pull the tat. I can't... I can see it in my head. Real quick. It's a marijuana leaf, a smiley face, a cross, and a skull. They're claiming that means MS-13. I don't know. What I find to be a tad bit odd is the fact that in photos where the hand is on display on his wife's Instagram posts, she uses emojis to cover up the knuckle. Now, look, everyone's got one tattoo they got when they were young that it was like, maybe I shouldn't have got that. But not everyone's being accused of being a member of one of the most vicious gangs in the country, or in the world. Excuse me. Not everyone's name is allegedly tied to a human smuggling case. You know what's crazy is despite all of the explosions about this and all of the explosion in the media about the stock market and tariffs and yada, 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 Trump's approval rating really hadn't changed all that much, which is actually really reassuring because it means that people are seeing through the bullshit. It means that they're no longer, while those dinosaur media outlets still dominate the game, people are no longer relying on them as the sole source of news. It's shows like this one that you all should share around and like on Facebook and join the group. But shows like this one, and obviously much bigger shows than ours, are providing people with a way to see through the bullshit, to see the forest through the trees. And I think what people are seeing, because Trump, he may drop like a point or two, but for the most part, his approval rating has been pretty static, which is unheard of for him, because he's always had low approval ratings, even in his first term. So what that says to me, because if you look at the Democrats' approval rating, that's been on a steady downward spiral since the election. That's continued. Like they've continued to drop, the Democrats have, in their approval ratings in these poll numbers. So what that tells me is Trump's 80-20 rule is working. It's not even an 80-20 rule, what Trump's doing. It's like this is like a 95-5 rule. Like keep in mind he's doing this strategically, right? So he said, we're going to deport everyone who's in the country illegally. I came on here the day after he got elected. I told you that wasn't going to happen, right? So everyone was expecting this big, just shock and awe campaign. They were expecting, ICE raids at every door in their neighborhood and all over the country, and empty farms where they were just picking people up and shipping them back. That hasn't happened. Instead, what he's done is he's targeted the people that were known criminals that the Biden administration has let slip under the radar for a long time. Known violent offenders, known gang members, and people who are affiliated with these gangs. And he sent them back. So now you've got these people that were worried about, just the Hispanic lady that wants to come into the country and be a maid and send money back to Mexico or whatever the case may be. They were worried about her getting swooped up in a black van and taken down to El Salvador and thrown in prison. That hasn't happened. And they're like, okay, maybe it's not so bad. It's called sandbagging, right? You set people up for the worst case scenario. And then when the worst case, we do it with our budget every month. It's like if we bring in the bare minimum amount of money and our bills are at an all-time high, how much money are we going to have left over? And then anything on top of that's gravy. It's the same thing. You set people up for the most extreme scenario, and then you give them one that's not near as extreme. And they're like, oh, this isn't so bad. And now they're seeing, because they're listening to shows like this one, they're seeing that the people that are getting shipped away are fentanyl dealers, child sex predators, rapists, murderers, people that got drunk in a DUI and killed somebody, and just monsters that have no business being in this country. They're not here legally, and they came here and they directly victimized American citizens. And not only are they saying that those are the only people that are getting deported, they're seeing the Democrats side with those people. Now, do I think the Democrats actually like fentanyl dealers and child traffickers? Well, some of them might, but for the most part, no. I think the difference is Trump's playing chess while they're playing checkers on this issue. The Democrats are still operating by the old rules, the old media tactics, as if we're in the 2000s or the 90s or even like the mid 2010s, where they can get away with this, where they can just say something and there's only 4 or 5 real outlets for the masses to get their news from, and that's that. They just assume it's true. What they don't realize is people aren't stupid. The Democrats are still operating under the assumption that the populace is uneducated and that they're dumb and that they can't see through the lies. The lies that says these are families getting ripped out of their homes and shipped into an El Salvadorian prison. No. Yeah, maybe they get 1 or 2 wrong. Nobody's perfect, and that's not right, and they should make it right if they do get something wrong. But for the most part, these are monsters, vicious, rabid dogs getting sent back to where they came from. And the public sees one of 2 things. They either see, oh, the Democrats are gaslighting us on this and trying to pretend that we're too stupid to see what's really going on, which is that it's the worst of the worst that are getting shipped out of the country, or they see the Democrats just defending fentanyl dealers and child traffickers. So it's really been a masterful plan by Trump here to back the Democrats into a corner and make them not only back the Democrats into a corner, but a softer blow to the general public that was maybe a little uncomfortable with deporting everyone that was in the country illegally, while simultaneously backing the Democrats into a corner and making them defend just the worst types of people humanity has to offer. And he's like 4 steps ahead of him because they still haven't figured it out. They still think if they can go up there and say, look at these rights violations of these people that are being thrown away. And then they show these pictures of these prison camps in El Salvador. And they show these guys with gang ink all over their heads. And they try to compare it to the Holocaust. I literally saw a tweet with that picture side by side next to a picture of a Nazi concentration camp. How insulting is that? I mean, do these people have no shame, or do they just really think you're that stupid? Do they really think you're that stupid to compare Jewish people and whoever else that was thrown into Auschwitz with MS-13 gang members that were in this country illegally, committed violent crimes here, and shipped back to where they came from? Do they really think we're that stupid? I think they do. And it's like I said, if they continue to operate under the assumption that we're that stupid, they're going to continue to lose. If you thought the Republicans had a disappointing 2022 midterm, just wait until the Democrats roll into 2026 with fentanyl dealers and pedophiles and human traffickers as the folks they're trying to align themselves with. And I know there's a tweet going around with satellite images from this El Salvadorian prison. And it's a day-by-day, side-by-side comparison. And one of the comparisons is out in the yard. They show that it's been stained some type of crimson or red. And they're saying, look, Bukele, the El Salvadorian president, is executing these people down there. He's doing the dirty work, taking out the trash for Trump. First off, I don't know if that's what's going on. Second off, if it is, guess what? You hear that? If you're watching on YouTube or Rumble, you know what I'm doing. I'm playing you a song on the world's smallest violin because I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn. Those people that are going down to those prisons, the worst of the worst, If Bukele wants to line them up and shoot them the moment they get there, I do not give two squirts of piss because I think we should have done it here. If you're in this country illegally and you commit a violent crime against an American citizen, or you sell poison to people that kills them like fentanyl, yes, we should hang you. I have absolutely no problem if Nayib Bukele wants to take these people in an El Salvadorian prison, line them up against the wall and shoot them. Because you know what? Now we don't have to worry about the pedophile illegal MS-13 member coming back into the country and terrorizing his victims even more, or creating new victims or whatever. Now we don't have to worry about that fat bitch that was dealing fentanyl down in New Mexico, coming, or California, wherever it was, coming back into the country and killing somebody else's kid. She's gone. She's no longer a problem. They're not American citizens. Doesn't bother me. And you know what? There's this guy who was the president for 8 years named Barack Obama that did a drone strike on an American citizen over in the Middle East. That guy didn't get due process, and he was an American citizen. And none of these people cried about that. None of these people that are outraged about what's allegedly going on in El Salvador were outraged about what Obama did to an American citizen. Not once. The Awalaki, I can't pronounce those names. Awalaki. And that wasn't the only American citizen Obama killed. They killed 3 others by accident. Not a word. Al-Awlaki was just the only one they did it intentionally to. And you want to know what else? Chief Justice Roberts, who's one of the people throwing a fit about what Trump's doing, saying he can't deport people without due process. Get this, Eric Roberts, the Supreme Court Justice, who's saying that Donald Trump can't deport non-citizens without first giving them due process, even if they've committed crimes, also said that Barack Obama was within his rights to kill an American citizen via a drone strike without giving him due process. These people do not support you. These people in these positions of power do not represent you. There is absolutely no ideological consistency to it whatsoever. Whatsoever. No, you're not an American citizen, bro. You don't get due process. That's guaranteed to us. Not someone who comes over here illegally, sneaks across the border, and kills somebody, or rapes somebody, or sells fentanyl and kills hundreds of people. You're not entitled to those rights. You're entitled to a flight back to El Salvador, and you know what? He's going to do with you what he's going to do with you down there. And people may think that's harsh, but that's a different part of the world. That guy's got problems you couldn't imagine down there, being in charge of El Salvador. He has to put that shit down harshly, or you get what you had in El Salvador for decades, which is a lawless country that's overrun by gangs and drug cartels. He's doing what he's got to do. That's all there is to it, man. Now, here's my other thing. When we hear about this Kilmar Abrego Garcia guy, when we hear that this Maryland man, or whatever you want to call it, when we hear about this Andreas guy, the gay makeup artist that supposedly was wrongfully shipped down to El Salvador, they make it seem like this is some big epidemic. That, oh, they keep shipping all these people down. It's all the wrong people, and they're talking about all these human rights violations. Okay, great. Name one other that they got wrong. Because they've sent, as of today, approximately 46,000 people. Not a huge number, actually, because they're doing pointed strikes, right? They're doing pointed deportations. They're getting specific people out of the communities. But they've shipped out 46,000 people. You guys have named 2. Now, I'm not a math major, but I don't think 2 is a significant percentage of 46,000, even if those 2 are both wrong, which we don't even know, because you've stopped talking, because that's all you talk about. And there's no way in hell you're going to let us have a fair conversation on it. So of those 46,000, According to you, they got 2 wrong. Worst case scenario. If this is really this ongoing problem, let's hear some more names. Let's hear some more names. Seriously. Because right now I've only heard 2. And we don't even know that both of those are highly speculative that they even got them wrong. If this was really this ongoing mass human rights violation, the way you make it sound, you'd talk about more than just those 2 people. You'd have a whole say their names campaign with posters and photos up and every family's crying on television. My dad got ripped away. He was just working an honest job. You don't see that. They've got 2 specific people. Because they need to have a face to what they're doing, because otherwise they're just defending pedophiles and fentanyl dealers and human traffickers and murderers and rapists. Which is their voter base, if you want to be honest, but it aggravates me. It aggravates me. All right. Let's talk this last one here, and then we'll get out of here. I've ranted and yelled and screamed enough, I guess. There is a movie that's coming out that I really want to see. It's called Sinners, starring Michael B. Jordan, who some of you have seen in the movie Creed, and Haley Steinfeld, who is an actress that I wouldn't know from Adam. She played Maddie Ross in the Western film True Grit at the age of 14. I don't know anything else about her. The name sounds familiar. I don't know what she's in. I'm looking at the movies. It looks like she's in a whole bunch of Marvel, and I don't watch any of that crap, so I couldn't tell you. I don't have... I have a life. I don't watch Marvel movies. Sorry. But this Sinners movie is the first movie I've seen in a long time that's gotten good reviews from both the critics and the audience. Very rarely do you see that in a movie. So it says, let me see if I can find a quick synopsis of it. It says, trying to leave their troubled lives behind, twin brothers return to their Mississippi hometown to start again, only to discover that an even greater evil is waiting to welcome them back. It's a vampire demon type movie like that. And it's not the first of its kind. Michael B. Jordan plays 2 different characters, which we'll see. He won't be the first one to do that. I'm not familiar with a ton of his work. I never saw Black Panther. Again, I don't watch Marvel movies. I have a life. Creed, I really liked those movies. But other than that, I'm kind of ignorant to his work. So it'll be interesting to see him in a different role than a boxer. But I'm seeing people on the internet talk about, on TikTok specifically, tell people not to see this movie. Don't go see Sinners, is all the hype on TikTok. Don't go see Sinners. It's demonic. It's evil. You're going to open your soul up to things that you can't handle. You're going to leave the movie theater a different person. This is not the first movie they've said this about. They've said it about The Exorcist. All kinds of stuff. This is not new from folks. This hype train. This panic, if you will, about a film. Here's the thing, guys. It's a movie. It's a movie. That's all there is to it. It is a cinematic production. If you are a Christian and you're concerned that this movie, that seeing a movie or any song could have such an effect on your soul that it would allow, some type of demonic possession or evil to overcome you, then you don't have enough faith in God. You're going to tell me that God is this all-powerful creator of the universe, just absolutely curb stomps anything in comparison to him. But you don't think he's powerful enough to protect you from being possessed by a movie? Now, I will say there is something to be said about not letting that stuff in all the time, about limiting how much of that stuff you can consume. Not because the demons are going to come through the screen and take you over, not because, you know, the new Marilyn Manson. But I used to listen to Marilyn Manson before he was a cover band. But not that the new Marilyn Manson song is going to possess you or turn you away from Christ or anything like that. But there is something to be said that, you know, the content you consume does have an effect on your day-to-day functions, on who you are as a person. Like everyone who listens to this show every week, very, very intelligent, you know. But there is something to be said about limiting how much of that dark content you can consume. And again, not because you're going to get possessed if you watch it, but that stuff can eventually start to chip away at you if you don't balance it out. And when that stuff starts to chip away at you, you do become spiritually vulnerable because you've just are dark, dark, dark 24/7. But seeing a Michael B. Jordan movie, not going to kill you. You're not going to lose your eternal soul because the guy from Creed made a movie about vampires. They're just not. It's a creepy movie. If it's got people feeling that way, that means the directors and the writers and the actors all did their job, is what it sounds like to me. You're supposed to leave a horror movie a little irked. Now, I used to like those like possession movies. I don't watch them near as much as I used to for that reason. Because I do, like I said, I think it's just not something you should be fixating on. Because when your mindset is dark, 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 you're going to go down a dark path. But if you want to see the movie, go see the movie. It's like I said, guys. God is a little bit more powerful than the IMAX cinema or wherever the hell, AMC theater or wherever the hell you're at, you're going to go see it. If you believe in God and you're not interested in that crap in terms of letting it truly into your life, you're going to be protected. You're good. You're covered. It's like we're going to do, we're trying to, Monty Scott and I, we should be good to go. In May, we're going to be going to Mystic Fest to do some man on the street trolling, if you will. Mystic Fest is a gathering of psychics and clairvoyants and energy healers and tarot readers and all those lunatics, right? Crystal dealers. You know how I love the crystal girls. And I had someone say, aren't you a little worried that you go in there and fuck with those people? One of them might cast some type of spell on you. Put some type of hex or a curse or attach something to you that you're going to bring home. And you know what? If I would have went and did this 5 years ago, yeah, I would have been. I would have been concerned. I have absolutely no concerns going into this. In fact, I don't think I've ever been safer going into this. We're going to go in there. We're going to ask some questions. My guess is they're going to kick us out in about 15 minutes. But we're going to have a good time. Spiritually, I am of no concern. Because here's the reality, guys. Let's pretend for a second that every single person that's going to be at that place isn't either a schizophrenic or a grifter. Let's pretend like one or two of them have some type of real power or dark connection to forces and spirits beyond our comprehension. And they try to throw something at me. It won't affect me. It'll bounce off of me. Because I got this guy on my team that you might have heard of named Jesus Christ, who absolutely smokes every last one of the bullshit spells and spirits and demons or whatever these freaks try to conjure up against me. So if they want to, yeah. You're only vulnerable to that crap, that new age mysticism, spirits. You're only vulnerable to attacks from that type of crap if you go in there either interested with it or playing around, interested and open to it or playing around with it. And I'm not talking about playing around in trolling. I'm talking about playing around with it the way kids used to pull mercury out of the thermometer and push it around the table. It's a dangerous thing to play around with. Experimenting might be a better word. That's the only way you're vulnerable to that shit. There is nothing they can do to me. Nothing. Everything they throw at me will bounce off of me if they try to mess with me. I'm sure one of them, they might try, they might think they're going to do something, but they won't. Nothing they can do will ever affect me. Because I have the most powerful being in existence on my side. That's like being afraid of an ant when you've got a nuclear missile. I mean, a fight between, let's say every last one of them conjures up every demon, spirit, hex, curse, whatever they can on me, and they all throw them at me at the same time. Guess what? All of those things versus Jesus is like John Bones Jones fighting a premature newborn baby in the octagon, except there's even more of a disparity between the two. I can't even put it into words. I have no concern. And you shouldn't have concern about a movie. I saw a guy on TikTok talking about, I saw this movie Sinners and it really got into my soul. And I was like, I can't watch that movie again. It's not good for my soul. I'm opening myself up to some dark forces. And then the second time I saw it, I just reaffirmed it. I'm like, why did you see it again? What's the matter with you? If it's really that bad, you went and saw it again. Guess what? You're still here. You're still here on the TikTok app talking about demonic movies. I think you're fine, bro. Now, if you're someone who's not spiritually sound and you're into the new agey mysticism and all that bullshit, and you go see a movie like that, no, the movie itself is not going to possess you. But again, you're continuing to open your soul up to those types of things. Yeah, maybe you shouldn't go see it. But if you're a Christian and you're strong in your faith, there is nothing that movie can do to you. There is nothing that anybody that you go and harass at a New Age festival can do to you. We're going to put an over-under at how long it takes us to get kicked out. 15 minutes, I think, is the 15 and a half is the time frame we're going to set. So, anyway, that's been our show. We'll see you guys Saturday. In the near future, we're already on everything already, but we're going to be adding a syndicate in the near future. Fun. If you like just listening to radio and music throughout the day, we're going to be added to the Live 365 stream from Chris Baker Radio. Live 365. It is like an online radio platform. The quality and the type of the show you get is not going to change, but you can play music in the background, and then every now and then, either Chris or myself will just pop up on the air, and maybe I'll do some time on his show, and he'll come on here, and vice versa. I don't know how it's going to work, but yeah, it's a fun way to expand the show. Of course, we're still going to be on all the platforms we're on right now. We're not being removed from anything. We're not changing, at least as of right now, we're not changing the scheduling of the show, but is in terms of what days it airs. But yeah, we'll be on the Chris Baker radio station, Live 365. You can download the app. There'll be music played 24/7, music, talk, comedy, politics, all kinds of fun stuff on there, including myself now. So that's just a fun little thing. It'll help expand the show. Like I said, I'm not expecting you guys to go listen to it, but it'll help expand the show. Just a fun little announcement there. I can bask in some exciting news from time to time, can I? Follow the Facebook page, like and subscribe on YouTube and Rumble and all that other good stuff if you haven't already. If you are watching, if you're listening on Apple Podcasts, go drop us a 5-star review. That always helps with the algorithm. And just support the types of and support the sponsors. Help pay my bills a little bit more. All right, that's been our show. We will see you guys on Saturday for the big show. Cheat on your taxes, not your spouse, and stay based.